that Keir Starmer is no Tony Blair. And there are a lot of Labour MPs who thought they were going to get a much bigger majority that who'll go into this Parliament already dissatisfied with their leader. And also, sorry, I just carry on. Democracy, Harriet, you made the point about how important democracy is. It's really important that with a large majority, although it's less than 97, and that's, could be done to your credit, Alastair, that we have an opposition that can hold the government to account. And there's been some really serious concerns about will there be a number of minor parties that could form a coalition against the government of the day, having almost a left-wing opposition and a left-wing government. What I think it shows is that democracy survives because there will be a healthy opposition against the government. But come on, Nadine, 5 years ago, we were announcing an 80-seat majority under Boris Johnson. And it's been wiped out to the worst Conservative result ever. And, well, I just want to put this to Nadine, because obviously you're a close friend of Boris Johnson. And the same question we put to Kwasi, the rot started with him, didn't it? No, actually, that's where this began. There has been, well, you might say that, but I'd rather look at the poll today, which was recently by More in Common, which showed that not one voter group blames Boris Johnson for what has happened to the Conservative Party. In fact, when Boris Johnson was leading the Conservative Party, Reform were only on 3% of the vote. Now Boris Johnson has gone, you've got Reform predicted to have 13%. Both Boris Johnson and David Cameron always had an eye to the right. They always were very careful to ensure that the right never managed to bubble up, and Farage never got a purchase like he has now. He's gone, and they're on predicted to have 13 seats.
Honestly, Nadine, you've got to get over Boris Johnson. The fact that Rishi Sunak wheeled him out...
I find that quite a sexist comment.
No, it's not.
Alastair, thank you.
No, it's not.
No, I think it is, Alastair.
It really isn't. You still seem to think that Boris Johnson is an electoral asset. Rishi Sunak wheeling him out the eve of the election was one of many mistakes he's made. Liz Truss and Boris Johnson. I
think that's the reason why we've got 131 and not 50.
I really don't.
So can we move on from Boris? I mean, I think the main thing that Nadine, I totally agree.
Do you really want to talk about Liz Truss?
No. We could talk about her all night. You brought her up.
No, go on.
No, so I think the serious point she made was that with 131 MPs, you can actually construct an opposition. If the number had been down to 55... that would not have been... That would have been...
The serious point that you started to make, though, was that Reform wouldn't have been as powerful without Rishi being in charge. So now I guess the question is...
Reform were on 3% when Boris Johnson was leader.
So are we looking at the Conservatives and Reform working as a body together in Parliament? Is that what you'd like to see?
I think if you're in opposition, you have to take each bill